It's Friday, January 23rd.
Canada thrives because we are Canadian.
Prime Minister Mark Carney swiping back at U.S. President Donald Trump's comments as we learn Canada is no longer invited to Trump's Board of Peace.
Now I think they both want to make a deal, but we'll find out.
Delegations from Ukraine, Russia, and the U.S. are in Abu Dhabi today for the first trilateral talks aimed at ending the war in Ukraine.
We have to make sure that we take care of each other. We have to make sure that we look out for each other.
Dangerously cold temperatures in much of the country today. Cold warnings have been issued in 10 provinces and territories. Some places could feel like minus 45.
They're saying it's a severe ice storm coming. It's hard to believe when you look around, but we're expecting it.
And south of the border, people don't have much time left to prepare for a major storm expected to hit on the weekend. Stay with us, Canada. Your morning starts right now. Good morning, Canada. Welcome to Your Morning. I'm Anne-Marie Mediwake.
I'm Lindsey Deluce.
And I'm Michelle Jobin. We hope your day is off to a good start.
On the American angle of that story, my sister in Tennessee texted me last night. She said the grocery stores are almost empty. The cities expect to be shut. This is Memphis. Expect to be shut down until Tuesday because of the storm and because they also don't have the equipment that's needed to clean up from a storm like this.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. This storm that's impacting the U.S. is hitting places that don't really have the resources that we would have to deal with them. But it is going to have major impact as we look into late into the weekend, into tomorrow for eastern portions.
But then the cold, I'm really debating right now because the kids are in, I think a lot of parents are in the same boat. Kids are in ski lessons. Walker has a race tomorrow. But when it says it's going to be minus 30, like the parent in me is like, you are going. But then I'm like, but? Because they take off their jackets. Like a lot of those kids are in their downhill suits and they're waiting at the top of the hill. And when we talk about exposure to this cold, I mean, that's without the wind chill.
Yeah, so they're on top of a hill. There's going to be a lot of wind.
I know. I'm debating what to do. Anyway, let's talk about that. That's our start of our newscast. There are dangerously cold temperatures across much of the country this morning. Environment Canada has issued cold warnings in 10 provinces and territories. The wind chill values are what to watch out for, with some areas in Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and Northern Ontario feeling colder than minus 45 today. Wrap your head around that. The cold weather, it is expected to last throughout the weekend. Experts are warning everybody, stay inside if you can.
Enough warming spaces where people could sleep safely, where they don't have to face this weather. It's excruciating. People could die. It's an emergency situation.
And obviously there is increased concern for people who are unhoused. Communities are opening up warming centers. Volunteer groups are heading out. In Regina, a new 24-hour warming center has just opened up, but it's not always enough. The CEO of the Ottawa Mission says an increase in demand should highlight the need for a better solution. And as we mentioned, people in the U.S. getting ready for this major storm expected to sweep across much of the country this weekend.
The shelves are pretty empty already, so people have definitely been rushing already to pick up different grocery items.
That's what Anne-Marie was talking about. Look at the empty shelves. And then long lines, pretty common at grocery stores. People are getting ready to hunker down. The storm is expected to hit more than half of the U.S., more than half of it, depending on where you live. People can expect heavy snow, bitter cold, freezing rain. Cities in the Northeast can expect a major snowfall. The southern states are bracing for ice and rain that could cause power outages lasting for days. Airlines have already been putting out advisories and allowing travelers to cancel or rebook. In other news this morning, Canada will not be joining U.S. President Donald Trump's Board of Peace after all because we've been uninvited. President Trump took back his invitation. You can't come. To Prime Minister Mark Carney, writing on social media last night, quote, "The board will be the most prestigious board of leaders ever assembled." Mark Carney had initially expressed an openness to join the board, but had questions about the board's structure and that permanent membership fee of $1 billion. President Trump didn't say why he was withdrawing the invitation exactly, but I mean, it does come after Mark Carney's speech at the World Economic Forum. And while in Davos, Donald Trump said Canada should be, quote, grateful, something Prime Minister Carney swiped back at.
Canada lives because of the United States. Remember that.
But Canada doesn't live because of the United States. Canada thrives because we are Canadian.
Prime Minister Mark Carney made the comments during a cabinet meeting in Quebec City. Now, so far, it appears Prime Minister Carney is the only world leader to have an invite rescinded to this board of peace. That could set the tone, though, for the upcoming review of CUSMA, the trilateral trade deal with Canada, the U.S., and Mexico. Speaking at the World Economic Forum, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky compared the war in his country to the movie Groundhog Day.
No one would want to live like that, repeating the same thing for weeks, months, and of course for years.
President Zelensky calling trilateral talks today, quote, a step hopefully toward ending the war. Delegations from Ukraine, Russia, and the U.S. will be meeting in Abu Dhabi.
I think that President Putin would like to make a deal. I think that President Zelensky would like to make a deal.
The U.S. delegation in Abu Dhabi is led by Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, President Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner. They're coming from Moscow, where they did meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin. The Kremlin called the talks useful and frank. Control of the Donbass region is expected to be one of the areas of focus during these talks. Authorities in Australia have given a cause of death for the Canadian teen whose body was found on a beach in Australia. The coroner's office in Queensland says 19-year-old Piper James drowned. Her body was found Monday surrounded by a pack of dingoes. According to the autopsy, her body showed evidence of drowning. There were also injuries caused by dingo bites that happened after she died. James is from Campbell River, BC. Her family says she was in Australia for a backpacking trip with a close friend. More federal workers have been handed layoff notices.
The very significant impacts for Canadians, just like the very deep public service cuts that we saw in the 1990s. But those set up some of the worst crises that we're still in, like our healthcare crises.
Health Canada, as well as Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada, are the latest departments to notify employees of job cuts. More than 2,000 employees are potentially affected. This is part of the federal government's plan to cut 28,000 jobs over the next 4 years. Notices have been issued at more than a dozen other departments. That includes Statistics Canada, Shared Services Canada, and Global Affairs as well. We now know where Canadians spent the most amount of time stuck in traffic. TomTom's annual traffic index found that drivers in Vancouver lost more than 4 days last year idling in rush hour. 4 days. Vancouver topping the list of Canadian cities with the most traffic congestion. It took Vancouver drivers an average of 29.5 minutes to travel 10 kilometers in the morning commute and more than 35 minutes on the way home. Toronto, second spot, and then Halifax, Montreal, and Quebec rounded out the top 5. A rock legend and rap star are teaming up to form something really cool. The Doors drummer John Densmore and Public Enemy rapper Chuck D have teamed up to record new music. So, pretty unlikely duo. They're going to be called, or they are called Dope, which is the combination of the names Doors and PE for Public Enemy, Dope. And their first album will be called No Country for Old Men. It will be released April 18th.
I really like that.
Which is also Record Store Day.